I just want you guys to know that I have not left my DX Racer in 4 days. It's starting to smell in here.
For Maloriak, we are going to talk about what I first think is the most optimal play for any rogue on this fight, and then we'll come back to reality and talk about how the fight will actually play out when you're progging it. Maloriak himself is actually fairly easy as an encounter, and really the only things that you need to worry about as a rogue are debuffs like the ones here on the screen, dodging fire, and black goo puddles. We tried both Assassination and Combat for this. It seemed like Assassination performed better in AoE just because of the way that we handled ads on this boss, so take all of this information with a grain of salt. I do want to clarify now though, just so nobody is confused later. I won't be mentioning AoE for subtlety, and if you are playing subtlety on this fight, don't AoE. Just don't do it. Your AoE is terrible, and you're a single target spec. Sit on the boss and hope your raid leader does not kick you. We'll start out with Assassination, as it's the spec that I will be playing for this boss on launch, and what I believe to be the best spec under our current level of testing. Starting off with the standard opener, we will pot into stealth, into sprint, and then garrote the boss. Is hearing this getting old yet? Then you will slice and dice, mutilate once, rupture, vendetta, mutilate to 4 to 5 combo points, cold blood, and then envenom. You will do your standard rotation from this point until Maloriak goes into his dark magic phase. When he does, you want to try and line your rupture refresh up here when the ads are about to spawn. Rip that, pop vanish, garrote the boss, mutilate him once, and then redirect those combo points onto the ad, rupture that, and then spam fan of knives until they are all dead. We tested trying to rupture each individual ooze here. As cool as it was, it's just not worth it, sadly. In a perfect world, the next 2 phases you want to get is a blue phase into a red phase. See, this boss takes so incredibly long to kill that generally speaking, when you first step foot into this raid, your 2-minute cooldowns will be back up by the time the next phase starts. And if RNG does its thing, you'll be staring at Maloriak in the face during your second vendetta cooldown on a red phase rather than a blue phase. Which, as I've already mentioned before, is a massive DPS loss. But that's okay. Outside of the ad phases, this fight's really easy. The only thing you really need to look out for is the debuffs that I was talking about in the preamble. Whenever you get one of these abilities, just simply cloak it off. Screw doing mechanics, man. Just cloak, blast DPS, and pray that you don't get another one until cloak comes off cooldown. If your guild does these phases anything like my guild, you will do the first green phase as normal, killing around 9 to 12 ads depending, and then immediately go back into another goo phase. Our guild opted to just letting aberrations release here, as it was allowing us to essentially get free AoE DPS on them. And by this time, Maloriak is already really low on HP before he goes into his enrage, so when this happens, you will simply rinse and repeat the first opener on Dark Magic Phase 1. Vanish, garrote, throw a fat rupture on the boss, mutilate, and then redirect to one of the ads, hit a rupture on that, and then spam fan on all 14 to 17 ads around you. It's actually important to maximize this DPS here because aberrations in this phase take a 99% reduced damage, and you really need to pump them to make sure that they die before the next blue or green phase happens around you. Lastly, let's talk about cooldowns. For the most part, it seems like because of the length of the phase swaps, you never really have to worry about your cooldowns going to waste during AoE phases so long as you don't hold them on the pull. So just try to pop them in the moment they come off cooldown. If your guild opts towards a safer strategy with killing ads and you end up doing 2 full green phases, feel free to send your vanishes off CD as you will likely see 3 of them on this fight. Alright, let's get into combat. This fight has a standard rotation opener, and for all intents and purposes, actually does more DPS on the boomer strategy with the 2 full green phases than Assassination does, because there's just a lack of ads to overpower Blade Flurry. So choose wisely based on whatever strategy your guild does. Combo will pop stealth, sprint as close to the boss as possible, pre-pot at 1 second left on the pull timer, open with Sinister Strike into Slice and Dice, then Revealing Strike, and this is where the fight varies. You have 2 paths. 1 being a true patter, or 2 being someone who focused their DPS on the boss to get to phase 2 faster. If you are a patter, hold Adrenaline Rush till Vile Swill spawns, and then pop it so that you can get crazy usage out of your Blade Flurry during the first Dark Magic phase. If you are a non-patter, you will continue on popping Adrenaline Rush, spamming Sinister Strike till 5 combo points, eviscerating, then repeating till right before the ads spawn. If Deep Insights is still up at this time, pop Blade Flurry, rip Killing Spree on the ads while targeting Maloriak to use your Deep Insights. If Deep Insights would fall off at this point, just use it on Maloriak to get use of it. Then swap to the ads, redirect any insight and combo points, make sure that you have a big slice and dice so that you can just evis spam during the entire time, and the same rule applies with this fight as all other fights. Revealing Strike at 0 to 3 combo points, and Gouge at 4 combo points when available. The only variation from combat to assassination is the ads. Dark magic is an easy win for combat because they can pop cooldowns on it all day and not care. But if aberrations are out when you're cleaving, you will reduce the damage your cleave does, leaving you feeling like it's an L to even be there. As well as doing outright less damage during green phases on ads because your fan isn't as strong. Nonetheless, try to be smart with your positioning to avoid cleaving aberrations during dark magic phases, and keep Blade Flurry up while using fan on green phases till the ads are dead. On to sub now, I guess. I just want to mention this for the sake of all you sub copers out there. Though sub is good, there are just some fights where you're better off not playing it. But if you insist, I aim to get more subscribers. So if you're a sub coper and I have to write this whole section out for you, subscribe to the channel, please. And thank you. I love you. Awesome. For the sub pre-pull guide and the pre-pull guide, check out the Magmaw video, as I won't be explaining it here. Link in the description below. Okay, here we go. Pop pre-pot, sprint, and stealth up to the boss. When the fight starts, ambush, pop whatever combo point rupture you have, emo, backstab to 5 combo points, recoup, shadow dance, shadow step with ambush, spam ambush until 5 combo points, eviscerate, and then rinse and repeat until shadow dance fades. When Find Weakness is about to drop, vanish, ambush again, pop preparation, and vanish into another ambush when Find Weakness is about to drop. Cycle your Shadow Dance with Shadow Step every 1 minute alongside Synapse Springs while juggling Hemo, Slice and Dice, and Recoup, then laugh at all the other DPS in your raid for playing a spec with viable AoE DPS that forces them to do mechanics in the first place. Holy... God, that was a mouthful. You know, the even crazier part about all of that is that I forgot to tell you guys to press backstab when you're waiting in between those Find Weakness debuffs. This spec is ridiculous. Oh, hold up, let me fix that really quick just so you guys can see the actual rotation. I don't want anyone to do the rotation wrong, of course. After all that, the only real thing to talk about is racials and defensives. We already covered Cloak, and only variation is if you're playing sub, which just means having access to using Cloak more often, so congrats on taking less damage. Combat probably won't have room to use the Feint Glyph here, so unless your guild is really down bad to save on healer mana, just try to avoid taking unnecessary damage. Assassination and sub will both have access to Feint on this fight, so just spam it off cooldown during dark magic phases, fire breaths, and whenever someone gets biting chill near you in phase 1. In phase 2, make sure you cloak off the Asanova if available, use Feint when it's not, don't stand in fire, and for the love of God, do not hit one of the frozen spheres. For things like racials, sub and assassination only really want to use these with single target phases, so try to work around that when available to you. Combat once again doesn't really care so long as the racial isn't being used to cleave an aberration with damage reduction, so go buck wild on that and have fun. I wanted to get more specific with this video, and I actually ended up re-editing this video 3 or 4 times and never coming up with a good solution, so I decided just to go with an overarching strategy that wasn't so dependent on the specific strategy that you guys were using for your kill, seeing as kill times are going to be all over the place for this fight, depending on what caliber of guild that you're in. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I know this one probably wasn't as specific as the other ones, and I apologize for that, but there's just gonna be certain fights where I can't, give you the exact rundown on every single boss all of the time. So if you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much, guys. The reception that I've gotten from these videos so far has just been absolutely wonderful, and I just want to thank you again for giving me this opportunity to make some content for you guys.